Evolution is not a respecter of suffering. In fact, evolution is not a process to be glorified. It is merciless and sacrifices individual. This is Karis Alexander with Deep Truth Media. The power control force, those universal architects, those that presume to run this world, or those that they adhere to, universal architects developed what is called the reward system in our brain, creating this schism of positive and negative feelings to motivate our behavior. The universal architects who designed this system placed us on a behavior treadmill that constantly focuses us to try to be as happy as possible, to feel good without ever reaching a stable state. That is, we live birth to death, seeking, always seeking happiness, but never reaching that state. So one way of looking at the physical universe and the evolution of consciousness is if you are experiencing an expanding ocean of suffering and confusion, where there primarily was none, or previously was none. The conscious self model first brought the experience of pleasure and joy into the physical universe, a universe where no such phenomena existed before. But it is also becoming evident that the psychological evolution never optimized us for lasting happiness. On the contrary, it placed us on a hedonic treadmill. We are driven to seek pleasure, joy, to avoid pain and depression. The hedonic treadmill is a motor that nature invented to keep the organism running. We can recognize this structure within ourselves, but we will never be able to escape it unless we come to know self as pure awareness. Awareness is the ultimate reality. So we are this structure that's embedded within us. So again, evolution is no respecter of suffering. And so if this is true, the logic of psychological evolution mandates concealment of the fact for the ego machine caught on the hedonic treadmill. So I bring that up to a wonderful synopsis because I want to remind you that what I share here is just simply a sharing, because I'm evolving, and I will tell you right now that I used to say a couple of years ago, not too far away, I used to say that we were born into this system. We came here to learn and to grow ourselves, and that our soul blueprint is a result of this structure, this planetary structure in the universe, or in our solar system, within this universe, and that is what guides and directs us. But now I see that from a whole different perspective. We did not come here to learn and to grow, because if that were the case, why do we have this amnesia? Why wouldn't we come with the knowledge that we have intact beforehand? Why are we living this place of forgetting and wanting to know? It's because it's a control system. We didn't ask to be here. And so I always say it to sharing, because as I'm evolving and growing, and as you will probably notice in this podcast, things change so quickly. It's changing so fast. And that's why there's so much confusion on this earth plane. Why the power control force is trying very, very hard to keep you in this, your own self-imposed prison. And the prism within the walls of the system. I mean, you have to understand, we are no different than a zoo. Those animals in a zoo. We are very similar to them. And we are domesticated. I mean, just look at, if you try to travel anywhere, you have to carry what is called a passport. You have to go through a border patrol. You have to go through customs to enter another country. Those are both border systems, those customs, or cages. You have to ask for entry into another country. That should tell you right there how we are living in a prison system, disguised as freedom. So, just look at the subtleties and look how you are frisked and patted down and are put through, if you don't want to go through their scanning devices, which I certainly don't go through, because they're toxic. So you're patted down, or you're scanned, or you go through this process when you cross a border as if you were a criminal. You're asked questions. You're treated as a criminal. You're being conditioned. We are conditioned. And so, it's really important when I say that this is a sharing. Because some of you I really appreciate. I don't know who's listening to these podcasts, but I really appreciate those of you who do listen and continue to listen, because I'm just growing, evolving just as you are, and what I share is simply a sharing. As awareness. The totality of who and what I am as awareness is beyond this universe, beyond this solar system, galaxy, beyond this earth. So it's almost like I'm looking through a telescope now, as awareness. And this telescope could be almost as if it's a television. So I'm seeing the nature of this dream, and for those of you who join me on Facebook, I had a moment the other day where I was laughing. I was just laughing at the situation that we find ourselves in, and how people are so programmed in their belief systems, living out their own lives, believing that everything, that is happening on this physical world stage is real. We are living in someone else's dream. We are living someone else's story, in fact. And it's a finite system. This system is a finite system. The power control force know this, and that's why they're game's over. They're just throwing everything at us, right? And so this movie that coming up for me right now in terms of where we're moving into is this next phase of Armageddon, Last Days, Judgment. It's called Clash of the Titans. And that's an interesting movie because now we're moving into a phase where they're going to have us warring against each other. And someone posted on my Facebook page, because I share there sporadically now, and people ask me questions and stuff, and one of the things that came up was the Super Bowl, and how the Super Bowl was very tame this year, apparently I heard. I don't watch it, but I kind of perused through the news and saw a little bit of a clip of Bruno Mars. It had the Mars theme this year, the male theme. Bruno Mars and Chili Peppers, the Red Chili Peppers crashing the Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos. Those games are fixed, definitely. There's no real playing there. There are rituals. They are rituals. Just as the Grammy was a ritual. The Grammys this year, theme was 33 weddings. Who Queen Latifah officiated over, and then she was actually singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. And Madonna was the high priestess there, again, following her 2012 Olympic year and Super Bowl celebration, where she was the ISIS personification. I talked about that a couple years ago, but she keeps coming up quite a bit, Madonna. Anyway, and then we have this Philip Seymour Hoffman, beautiful actor, died. Quite similar to scenario as Whitney Houston. Again, a sacrifice. He was sacrificed. And some were saying that it was his death, Philip Seymour Hoffman, was quite similar to a scene in a movie. See, they're trying to create your reality. We live in a situation where the awakening that is happening for so many is what I would call socially induced. It's a fictitious awakening. So a lot of people believe that awakening means coming to know the truth about the conspiracy, that there is this hidden force or unseen force behind that is spearheading our demise and creating all these narratives, which I do cover quite a bit here. But that's all by design. They want you to know a certain level of information. They don't want, and they want it to stay within the confines of what you find on the internet. The internet is the internet. It's supposed to represent your inner knowing. The internet is supposed to be the World Wide Web, this brain, this global brain. And they want you to stay connected to the internet as the internet, so that it becomes your own internet and your only source of information and knowledge. And so be careful, because the totality of who you are as awareness knows more than what you will get on the internet. The internet is an artificial awakening mechanism, and it's only going to allow you to awaken to a certain degree. Awakening, as I define it, is coming to know the truth of who you are as awareness, that you supersede all of this existence, this universe, and you just rest as awareness in a constant state of paradise outside all of this. That's awakening, when you come to know yourself as awareness, not just the level of knowing who's behind the scenes orchestrating all these disasters and events and ushering humanity in a new culture of death, a culture of war. Just waking up to what's going on on the news and, all these little tidbits that I even share. It's not awakening people. It's a socially induced awakening. And things like the Grammys and the Super Bowl are rituals. They have humanity participating in these mega rituals now that used to be done behind closed doors. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that they would come out and do these mega rituals? They need your energy. They harvest our energy. More people that tune in, and that's why they use television and the media and all these technological devices to keep us engaged in the system. They need our energy in order to keep the system going. The moment we stop participating in the system, the more and more of us that can wean ourselves off this system, come to know self as awareness, and that's the hardest part. Most people, I keep telling people, you got to do the inner work. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that because it's hard work, they say. It's only hard if you say it's hard. It'll certainly set you free. That's for sure. And allow you to dream your own dream. That's the opportunity now. To see this experience as a dream. The power control force knows it's a dream. And subtly we are coming to know, for those of us who can tune into the higher frequencies of what's transpiring here on this earth plane, we can see this dream for what it is. and not take it so seriously. That's why I was laughing the other day. Because I am laughing because I can see how people place so much value in this system. Their lives are dependent on it. And the plug is being pulled right underneath them. And they don't even know it. And for those that do know it, they're still trying to cling on to the system. It's fascinating to watch all this from the perspective as awareness. It gives you a whole different vantage point from which to see and experience this reality or this illusion of reality. You know, Martin Luther King Jr., he knew. He was the one who said, I have a dream. But he was following on the lines of the power control force's dream. He was a sacrifice for his generation. He allowed himself to be because on some level he was naive. Just like a lot of these stars who perpetrate the agenda, unbeknownst to many of them probably, but I can't believe that a lot of them don't know. I think they're so caught into it that they realize they can't get out of it. So they acquiesce and don't say a thing. They succumb to the lure of money, gifts, and trinkets. But Martin Luther King Jr., he had a dream, and he was a hero in some respects to a lot of people. And what I'm finding here is that we are on what is called a hero's journey. That's the overriding narrative that I'm seeing playing out over and over and over again. That's the overriding theme. But actually that the hero's journey is the inner work, is the inner journey that must be done. But we see the hero's journey in many of the movies and literature and mythological folklore. And what I'm noticing is that it's just mirroring this incapacity for humanity to actually do that journey and do it and win. And so I'm going to be talking more about this hero's journey and the stages of the hero's journey that we are in. Even we are living through the hero's myth on a physical world stage. And the narratives that are unfolding mirror that myth, that mythology. And then all by design. Because if you look at the hero's myth, the hero conquers evil, and with this force, this unseen force, through this unseen force, this hero, the hero's journey is gaining these gifts, these unseen, unknown forces within them, this power within them in order to conquer the world, in order to conquer evil on this earth plane. Why is that myth that's a general synopsis. I haven't written much on this. I'm just sort of speaking verbatim, but from what I'm experiencing on my own path here, but truly the journey is to come to know self as awareness. They know that. The power control force want to stop that from happening. And so what they do is that they mirror this process through their narratives that we are to undertake. But they disguise this narrative through movies and fiction so that we don't see or come to know the truth, that we are hypnotized to not even look or take that journey because we're not being told how to do it. And it's going to come to each and every one of us as we evolve and come to know self, to share how we got there. I have to share how I got to where I am today, because how I got here is my own journey and my own path. How I got to know self as awareness was never explained to me. It's a path of initiation. So I need to share that information with you. And it's like a lone wolf trying I'm a lone wolf trying to share insights and information that if you just do that work, you'll get there and you'll be able to be here regardless of what happens on the external reflective and create the world or the utopia that you want. You can dream a far better dream, even than Martin Luther King, who was under the thumb of the power control force anyway. He had a dream, and his dream was fulfilled to a certain extent, but he was used as a sacrificial lamb, so to say. So it's quite interesting. One of the things I want to also talk to you about with this archetypal energy that we all are subjected to, and I'll be speaking more on, and it has to do with astrology, because I've been doing astrology for some time now, that I wanted to share with you that there are planetary influences, that is, planets and celestial bodies are forms of consciousness and are filled with archetypal energies that influence all of us. It is through the understanding of these energies emitted from the planetary bodies that we need to understand, and they can be seen when we draw a natal chart. When we create a natal chart, we're able to tell some of a person's personal, intimate details about their life, how they're structured, how they respond the way they do. So you can tell them things about their past, their present, and their future. Because the solar system and the astrology is the software program that we are operating on. Each individual, all of us, are charged with the energies from these planetary bodies at the moment of birth. And so depending on the position of the planets and how close they are together and their distances from each other, create the different types of energies that are merged within humans and create our personality. Some of these energies will have a stronger impact. Of these planetarians will have a stronger impact and charge a person with more or one type of energy than others. This creates a basic makeup of the person's personality. That's why we're all so different, and yet all the same. Now, these archetypal energies are based on the collective consciousness. They are instinctual. We all have them. And so these archetypal energies create our personality type, our state of mind, and our destiny in a lot of respects. So that's where I say, we don't really have free will on this earth plane because we are manipulated. We are operating under the software program, the astrological software program. We can use that as a blueprint to guide us through the narratives that are playing out on this physical world stage, the collective narratives and our personal narratives. Now, the planets continue to affect the person throughout our lives. And the moment the planetary bodies and the forces of their various energies are emitted and received by us on a daily basis, depending on where we are in the world, and they will affect us to the extent that some planetary energies are more stronger in other areas of the world than other areas, and so it's a real cocktail mix. There's so many variables at play here, and yet it creates a blueprint that a person, you or me, will respond to. So we're really not ourselves in the pure being of who we are in this physical dimension because of the varying external influences. Now the key for us is to learn how to minimize or maximize certain energies that are emitted and received from these planetary bodies. And through this information, we can change our original state of being, or we can change our blueprint and change the course of events of our lives. Once we come to know that we are driven by these archetypal energies, that it's a structure within us, that is inherent within us, and we bring consciousness to that, we can manipulate those energies for our own benefit. So the energies that I want to just touch on are this Uranus-Pluto square. And Uranus really speaks to freedom, breakthroughs, rebirth, experimentation, the higher mind, intelligence, genius, electrifying inspiration, illumination. The archetypes for Uranus are the liberator, the divine child, the eternal child, the Messiah, the trickster, the rebel, the awakener. So with this Pluto square Uranus, we're coming into a very intense time. And the archetypal energies for Pluto are divine will, absolute consciousness, the active form of the divine, the force that compels all forms to rise out and disappear back into the self. It's the Shiva, the Shiva energy, the male force, symbolizes death, rebirth, struggle, purgatory, ecstasy. If Uranus energies are not fulfilled, unfulfilled, in that it does not allow itself, these energies within you are not propelled within you. So with this Uranus-Pluto square, your psyche is being affected by all the aspects in the solar system right now. But this Uranus-Pluto square is causing that impetus within you to form communities or rebel against the system, or, that's the square, that's the aspect, the 90-degree angle. And because of this 90-degree angle, which started in 2012 and is going to be finished in 2015, the power control force are using that particular angle in order to initiate or facilitate their dream. They're using these archetypal energies in order to facilitate the direction of their dream. So we have to come to know this. I'm just showing you one tiny aspect, which is a very significant aspect. And so with this pole shift that happened at the end of 2013, which I mentioned, interesting enough, I'm going on a tangent here, this young guy from Suspicious Observer, you probably listened to his videos. He was on Red Ice. I listened to some of Red Ice's stuff. I listened to see what propaganda is being proliferated through the alternative media, because he's part of the controlled opposition, as most of the alternative media are part of the controlled opposition. Don't think the truth movement or the alternative media movement is anything but a part of the power control force. If you believe that they are operating on their own and that everything in the truth movement is God's word about what's going on from the perspective of the unknown or the unseen force, the Illuminati agenda, you're all wrong. It's all socially induced. It's all propaganda. All of it. You're just being naive if you believe all that stuff. And what I'm also noticing is that a lot of these guys who are in the alternative media are Freemasons. Some of them are even going to the extent to say that they've defected from these societies, secret societies. But what I'm sensing here and what I believe is that as part of the initiation process that they have to do research and put out these books and put out these propaganda information in order to reach the next level of their degree. So you got a lot of these Freemasons out there doing a lot of research in the alternative media sector. And I think it's because the power control force want to know which ones of that in their own circle are coming to know information so that they can keep the wraps on them. It's quite insidious how this is all happening, but if you think the alternative media is anything but a part of the power control force, then, and you believe all that stuff, then you're just allowing yourself to be manipulated, is what I'm saying. It's just, it's so true. The only knowledge and truth that you can come to know is the truth within yourself. So don't fall prey to the alternative media. It's all designed to keep you dazed and confused, confusion and doubt. Confusion and doubt. So breaking the spell is truly about doing the inner work. That's the only way that the spell that you are under can be broken. And I want to speak to you a little bit about hypnosis. All people are very open to hypnotic suggestion. And you have to come and commands. We all are. It is built into the human psyche. Again, it is built into the human psyche that we would be open to suggestion and commands. It's built into us. In a way, it is used as a way to control and manipulate us. And this is all done through things like the media, through hypnotic suggestions and commands and subliminal messages, through the news, television, movies, internet, religious and government organizations, politicians, and some might call it non-physical planes, where you have entities such as astral vampires, angels and demons, and so on. I don't believe in angels and demons and astral vampires and all that stuff. I believe that those are distortions caused by what I would call separation anxiety that most of humanity is under, because they've thought they've done the unthinkable, and that is separated from the original source. So there is a madness, a sense of madness that's going to be coming onto this earth. We're moving into the next phase of intensification on this earth plane. More wars, more climate change, erratic weather. So, again, the things that I'm watching for, and I'm just going to close out with this, are what's coming up in April, which is the Israel-Palestine scenario, because I think that is going to be the impetus to World War III. We have civil wars all over the world now, and that's becoming the norm. Quite interesting enough. You notice how these civil wars keep manifesting in, Tiananmen Square, we have Kiev Square. They're all happening in these squares. Egypt, I can't remember what that square is called, but there's these like little congregation or squares, but it's all, the square is what I talked about with this Uranus-Pluto square. See, they're just playing on as above, so below. They're playing on this Uranus-Pluto square. So whatever you hear about civil war happening in Kiev Square, civil war happening in Tiananmen Square, I mean, it's just a play on as above, so below. They are utilizing that square because those are the energies, those are the archetypal energies that are within which every one of us, and they're using those energies in order to facilitate their dream, in order to usher us in to this directive, this dream of creating more chaos, more mayhem, more crisis on this physical plane. You have to keep the energy of the vibration of this planet very, very low. Fear, murder, warring, because the vibration of the planet is increasing, which supports you to wake up out of this hypnosis. It's the first time in human history that this has ever been able to happen, that you have been able to come to know yourself, the totality of who you are as awareness, and live out the rest of your existence with that knowledge, and transcend all of this. Transcend all of this. And so it truly is a glorious time to be here. Truly is a glorious time to be alive. Start learning to see the dream for what it is. It is a dream. Stop taking this dream that we are living through so seriously. Detach from the dream. Do that inner work. That's the work that needs to be done. And I'm speaking more about these archetypal energies and how they are influencing us and manipulating us in order to participate in this dream that is unfolding. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to join me on Facebook, it's Kerrace, Kerrace Alexander. I look forward to talking to you again. Goodbye.